Why, hello there, and happy Halloween to you. Welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk About ...
And on this Halloween, we thought we would mix things up a little bit, so we're not going to be looking at a cinema release or anything like that. We are back in public information film territory.
Which, as you probably know if you watched our previous video, there is nothing more frightening than a public information film.
And let's be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, this one's a good one.
Once again, I am the Big Daddy D, David Mabley. You may have heard of the baddest man on the planet. I'm currently the most caffeinated man in the room. And I'm joined here once again by my good friend,
Hi everybody.
heterosexual life mate, Luke Murphy.
And after an introduction like that, anything I could say just wouldn't be funny.
That's it, we've reached the peak of the episode. It's all downhill
from now on.
Following World War II, British television had public information films, or PSAs, to protect us from doing anything stupid. In the early days, it was something as simple as covering your mouth when you sneeze, but it later went on to having minor celebrities teaching kids how to cross the road safely. But as we came into the 70s and 80s, the public information films decided to try a new tactic, by scaring the shit out of people.
In fact, you could say that these films went a little bit too far in terms of getting their message across. One particular short film that became infamous in terms of creating plenty of nightmare fuel and childhood trauma was all about warning kids about the dangers of playing in farmyards. Apaches. Apaches is a public information film made in the United Kingdom in 1977. Produced by Graphic Films for the Central Office of Information for the Health and Safety Executive, it was shown extensively in the southern Westward, Anglia and ATV regions before being shown either on film or videos cassette in primary schools. The film was directed by John Mackenzie, who would later go on to direct the likes of The Long Good Friday.
The 26-minute long film deals with the subjects of the dangers to children on farms and has been seen in schools all over Britain, as well as in Canada, Australia and the United States. Although its main legacy has been becoming known as one of the most notorious and most harrowing public information films of all time. Despite its content and graphic scenes, which children are killed in numerous gruesome accidents, the film was only given a PG rating in the United Kingdom.
The film follows 6 young children: Kim, Sharon, Michael, Danny, Tom and Robert, who are playing around a farm in a rural British village. Throughout the film, the children play at being Apache warriors, hence the film's title. All but one die in various shocking accidents, largely due to the children's carelessness, suggesting that the children would still be alive if they had known what dangers lay ahead. In between seeing the kids playing at being Apache warriors, we keep cutting back to what appears to be the preparations of a big family party.
The kids come across a farmer driving a tractor, but rather than doing the sensible thing and keeping out of its way, they decide to chase it, and one of the kids, Kim, climbs onto the back of the trailer and pretends to shoot at the farmer. Rather than telling Kim to get off his tractor and stop trespassing on his farm, the farmer actually turns around and starts joining in with pretending to shoot the kids back. What happens next is that Kim stands up on the tractor, which suddenly makes a quick turn, and Kim falls off, going headfirst into the wheels. Ouch. At their school, the teacher removes Kim's name tag from a coat peg.
This doesn't seem to concern any of the other kids as they continue to play on the farm with a game of kick the can. 2 of the lads, Danny and Tom, decide to chase after each other and head towards a large slurry pit. Again, there's the farmer driving his tractor, not in the slightest bit concerned that there's a gang of juvenile delinquents buggering about on his farm. Whilst hiding from Danny, Tom decides to balance on top of a fence overlooking the slurry pit and falls in. Nobody hears his cries for help, and he suffers a quick death by drowning. Yes, the kid drowns in shit.
Ooh.
The village children are given a day off because of his death, and the class teacher removes the items from Tom's desk.
With 2 of his friends now dead, actually witnessing their deaths happen before his very eyes, how do you think Danny responds to this? Luckily, the film teaches us how to apparently deal with death. Step 1. Stare. Step 2. Carry on as if nothing happened 5 minutes later. Once again, the kids are back on the farm playing at cowboys and Indians, and once again, there's another farmer in a tractor who doesn't give a toss and actually joins in with the game while still operating heavy machinery. The kids stab some hay bales and then decide to celebrate their victory by pretending to drink from a bottle of weedkiller. One of the girls, Sharon, does accidentally drink some of the nasty liquid and goes home coughing and spluttering. But it gets worse from there. Much, much worse. That sounds way too real.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like she was acting. That sounds like she was actually screaming in pain.
I think when we were prepping, sort of looking at this, and we'll get to the rest of the film in a minute, we have to stop here and talk about this bit, to be honest with you. Out of all of these inventive and gruesome deaths and what have you, this is the one that really, really quite gets you. Now, the wonderful thing about this is that, you know, the character drinks this weedkiller, whatever it was, goes home, she goes in the house, she starts holding her tummy, I feel a bit unwell, starts coughing, and then it cuts to an exterior shot of her house. You never go inside, you never see her or anything like that, you don't know what's going on inside, you just hear the screams. And the screams are awful. Absolutely awful. We'll get to a bit more of sort of talking about this after we go through sort of the main review, but we just had to stop here and talk about this because out of everything that happens, this is the most harrowing of the deaths.
Well, it's also probably the slowest death as well. I mean, all the kids in this die fairly quickly.
Even the lad in the Slurry Pit.
Well, yeah, even on the Slurry Pit, it must be a quick death. Her death must be like long and agonising and painful. As you can only imagine, she's suffering from like multiple organ failure at this point.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And you know, you only get to see about a little snippet of the exterior of the house shot. I mean, it's less than probably 20 seconds or something like that.
It's what we don't see that makes it.
And again, that goes to it always goes to sort of the old saying is what you don't see that scares you more.
Thanks for the nightmares.
Yeah, cheers.
I didn't need to sleep tonight anyway.
No, I didn't either. I have children, so I don't get sleep. He has children. He doesn't get sleep either.
No.
But that's because he's an insomniac.
That's where all the hair went, mate.
That's where the hair went.
In the next scene, her mother is seen clearing out her now dead daughter's bedroom with a close-up of her empty bed. Danny comments that he doesn't understand why adults like parties so much, seeing as no one plays games or gets presents. He also doesn't understand why grown-ups like drinking, although he thinks it's fun when they get drunk and dance around and give you money. Can't argue with that.
No, really can't. Back on the farm, the remaining kids have stopped playing as Apaches, even though on the soundtrack you've still got someone banging on the drum for about 10 minutes. They are now pretending to be Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, the game's not, the film's not showing its age at any point.
Yeah. There's a couple of moments where you think one of the boys is going to get crushed by a tractor, like what happened with Kim. And once again, the tractor is driven by a completely oblivious farmer. So after this red herring, what happens next? Well, one of the boys, Robert, gets crushed by a gate, gently falling on him instead. I'm not sure that's quite on the same sort of par as drowning in a shit pit or having your intestines getting burnt out by weedkiller, but it's still enough to get another gormless look from Michael again, and some more narration on the party that's going on.
Back at the farm, there's now only 2 kids left, and Danny runs off to find, surprise surprise, another bloody tractor. This time the farmer's actually getting off the tractor, and Danny asks him if he can have a go on it. The farmer seems to be completely oblivious to the fact that several children have already died on his farm, as he allows Danny to climb onto the tractor and then leaves him there unsupervised. Seriously, how many kids end up dying on this bloke's farm? This guy would have been in jail by now.
Danny accidentally knocks off the handbrake and the tractor starts moving. And this idiot is actually steering the tractor towards the cliff. I know he's just a kid, but surely he's old enough to know how a bloody steering wheel works.
Why doesn't he just jump off? It's not exactly moving fast now, is it?
So, anyway, Danny ends up driving the tractor off the cliff to his death. It's not actually a steep drop though, is it?
And then we get the twist at the end. The party was in fact the wake for Danny's funeral, and our narrator all this time has been Danny himself. Michael, also present at the wake, is revealed to be Danny's cousin. The only child not to have been killed by his own reckless behaviour, despite Danny having described Michael as daft earlier on in the film. Danny's voice then fades off into a ghostly echo as he sadly wishes he could have gone to the party.
So, the film ends. But instead of the end credits being the actors, directors, editors, camera operators, etc., etc., it is in fact a list of children who have actually died on farms in the year before the film was made. Some of them as young as 2 years old. In conclusion, never go outside to play. Ever. Stay at home. Play video games instead. It also seems to be a warning that not only are farms dangerous places to play in, but adults can be really stupid. The film certainly did its job in scaring children not to play on farms, but in doing so, also becoming the stuff of nightmares for its young viewers for years to come. And that is Apaches, ladies and gentlemen.
So once again we have to ask,
What the
hell did we watch here?
Oh my god.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. Right, so our first little foray into the world of public information films as kind of like a side series from sort of the main film reviews was Dark and Lonely Water, which was only a couple of minutes. This one being sort of almost half an hour or what have you. Dark and Lonely Water is tame in comparison to this. I mean, Dark and Lonely Water did have the creepy vocal stylings of Donald Pleasance as the voice of death. This, though, is a full-on horror film.
It is.
And it's not even for kids, this. I mean, again, I think we mentioned, so when we first introduced this series, we mentioned sort of the horrific nature of some of these, the hammer horror nature of some of this. Hammer horror has, you know, he had some scares, he had some shocks and what have you, but you know, it was always a little bit of sort of, in some cases, in some of the late ones, a little bit of camp fun and what have you. This is not fun. This is not fun at all. And again, we can come back to the fact that as parents ourselves, yeah, I know. There's no way in good conscience we would let our children watch this, even though we ourselves saw them growing up.
It's too much. It is too much.
It is too much.
I understand the importance of scaring kids to say, look, don't go playing about on farms because there is a very real chance that you will injure yourself or die. And to look at those sort of end credits where there's a list of children that died on farms in the year before the film was made. Again, some of us young as 2. I understand the need to sort of shock people to say, don't do this, but this almost goes too far. Like you brought up the horror films. In no horror film I've ever seen has someone died by drowning in a pit of shit. In no horror film I've seen has someone died by drinking weed killer and their organs basically burning to fuck. I mean, the one with the gate falling on the kid is relatively tame. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not disputing that kids did die by gates falling on them, but the way that it's done in this, it just literally looks like a gate falling gently on a very obvious dummy.
Yeah, I mean,
but the other deaths are horrific. And again, when Danny goes off the edge of the cliff with the, well, it's not even a cliff.
It's not really a cliff. It's really just about, I don't know what it is, but it's not a cliff.
It's not exactly a steep drop, but his scream is blood chilling. His scream is bone chilling. His scream feels very, very real. I mean, either these kids are fantastic actors, or they genuinely were terrified when this film was being done.
It's like you have a look at sort of the inventive deaths and what have you of this, and you know, it would be like if a Saw film came along and watched Apaches, the Saw film would go, oh, that's a bit much.
There's Jigsaw there making notes, and he goes, "Oh no, that's too much for me." Is that?
No, sorry, no.
Could the farmer actually be the serial killer?
I watched this, and I genuinely had this thought in my head. This farmer could be a serial killer.
Yeah.
This farmer could be the most inventive serial killer ever. Come play on my farm, and I will just ignore you completely, and then just let nature take its course. I seriously think this farmer could be a serial killer.
Yeah.
He could still be operating.
He's still out there.
He's still out there.
He's worse than Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger put together. This could end up being the Halloween episode, that.
We could put this. Yes, children. this Halloween, we're talking about PIFs.
Yes, the most scary films possible.
Yeah.
I mean, what we looked at in like Part 1 of public information films, yeah, there's kids playing about in power stations, and by lakes and things like that, construction sites.
Yeah.
And this is like playing on a farm, and there's lots of, as you say, very inventive and nasty ways for children to die. And again, I can understand the need to have this warning out here, but this almost it goes too far, and the film was actually banned. It was shown in school for a time, and then it ended up getting pulled and sort of said, no, this is far too much.
Which interestingly, I've got both of us now live in and around Leeds. I'm originally from.
Danny's from Leeds as well, isn't
Danny's
he?
from Leeds.
He's riding around the tractor with like a Leeds.
Leeds.
Can I just say that he's not representative of everyone from Leeds? I think if you sat someone from Leeds in a tractor, we would know what the fuck we were doing. You know?
Yeah. I was just thinking,
stupid fucking kids.
Whatever. I've been terrible. One of the points I was going to make is I grew up in Cumbria, so in Cumbria being a rural part of the UK, it is surrounded by farms.
So you would have been more likely to have had this film shown to you then.
And this is a film that was definitely sort of shown sort of in and around the time when I was growing up during the 1980s. I mean, this was in 77 hours, so primary school from. 83 to 89, something like that. So it's only 5 years removed from when this was made and released. So this is something that was actually made. This is a PG.
Yeah, again,
this is a PG.
Yeah.
This is okay, and okay. So the BBFC passed this as a PG. What we've got here is the wonderful thing about the BBFC, and we'll talk about maybe a little bit about the BBFC in a minute, is that on their website they will put on, they'll have their decisions, they'll classify the film, etc., and then they have something called insights, which is basically for the parents to go on or anybody to go on and just read a little bit about what they're going to see and the type of things that they'll see in there and the decision that's being made. This from the BBFC website. Apaches is a short film created by the Central Office of Information, warning children of the dangers of playing around on farms. Okay,
fair enough.
Threat. Various hazards common to farmyards are shown, with fatalities resulting from falling gates, drinking turpentine, drowning in a manure pit, and being run over by a tractor. Injury detail. There is infrequent sight of injury detail following accidents, including a small pool of blood on the ground and some blood coming from a child's ear after a gate falls on him. There is infrequent use of the term squaw to describe Native American women as the children play games of cowboys and Indians. The term is not used in an intentionally offensive manner.
So in summary then, I think what you're saying is, it gets a PG not because of the violence,
but because of the use of the term squaw.
Well done.
Well done.
Well done, you got your priorities in order.
Well done, BBFC. Well done. Actually,
I would have given that a 15 at least.
15 at least, to be honest with you. Okay, we did that a little bit for comedy value, but the BBFC is actually a really, really good organisation. It's one of the things that in this country that we really, really should be proud of, to be fair, because the BBFC make a point of making sure not that a film is not seen, but making sure that a film is seen by the correct audience, by giving it the correct classification. It's there as, it's not there as a censor anymore, although that was its original title, the British Board of Film Censorship. They're a great organisation. The website's really good. The archive section on the BBC website is even better because you've actually got the full reports there of some films. The full report on Sam Raimi's original Evil Dead.
It should be interesting.
It's hilarious. Get a hold of this. It's absolutely hilarious. As is the report on the original Ghostbusters film.
Ghostbusters?
Yes, the
I
original.
wouldn't have thought that would be classed as like a video nasty.
Well, no, it wasn't classed as a video nasty, but the full report. There's a section in the full report about where Ray is, shall we say, accosted by a female ghost.
I'd forgotten about that scene.
There's a section in there where Ray is accosted by a female ghost. We see Ray's face, etc. And in the report, the person who classified it and did the report basically was, I don't exactly know what was going on here. Perhaps he was having his tummy tickled.
Oh, bless.
But that's it. That's the type of thing that, you know, the long reports are always brilliant. Reading about the BBC is a wonderful thing. We should actually maybe talk about the BBC sort of in a future episode, because it's a great thing to do. But that's just one of the things that has always stuck with me. That somebody thought, oh, perhaps he's having his tummy tickled.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but that's the face I make when I'm having my tummy tickled.
This bit's getting cut out. I'm telling you, this is getting cut out.
Oh, well,
yeah,
that's great, but I do feel on this occasion the BBFC is like, your scoring for this was completely wrong. It's, there is no, I mean, even with the PG, my youngest son is 10 years old. I would not let him watch this. He would have nightmares.
Yeah.
And I have two sort of elder sons as well. One is 16, one is 13. And just from me describing what happens in the film, I mean, the film is widely available to watch on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I might even put a link in the video description as well. So
it's only most of the, as I think we maybe mentioned so in the original PIF review for Dark and Lonely Water, all of these are in the public domain.
Yeah, so they're not
free copyright, absolutely fine.
But just sort of describing to my teenage sons what the film involves, straight away they were like, no, I don't want to watch this.
And these are sort of, you know, older teens, you know, 16 obviously is going out now and hanging around with his friends and being all cool and what have you. And
but at least I know he won't be knocking about on a farm.
Absolutely.
You know, because the idea of drowning in a pit of shit is just...
It's too much for him.
I mean, you thought they had some over-the-top death sequences in, like, A Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, where Freddy Krueger bakes someone into a pizza, you know, and then eats them as if he's eating, like, meatballs. It's like, at no point did Freddy Krueger drown someone in a pit of shit. Although I can imagine what, you know, the sort of little quote he would make at the end kind of thing, you know. Like, you know, life shit and then you die, you know. that kind of thing.
Oh, I know we laugh about these things, but really, you know, all of these, you know, all of these videos, all of these films and what have you, they were there for a reason, and the reason was to keep our kids safe, basically. And once again, they went for the nuclear option of scaring our children shitless.
And I'm sure it worked.
I'm
sure it did, and I'm sure this certainly did help to cut down on the amount of deaths that did take place on farms. But again, its true legacy is being one of those public information films that we spoke about, that we had nightmares about, and chances are if you're watching this video, you probably caught the film or know of its reputation anyway.
Or any of the other ones that are out there as well. Some of the really sort of grim ones like Robbie and
the finishing line, which we will get round to covering.
Oh
at some point
boy,
as well.
will we!
But I think for this particular episode, we've covered what we sort of need to do.
Yep.
As I say, I'll put a link in the description so you can watch Apaches for yourself and check out what's essentially a horror movie.
A horror movie.
In the form of a public information film.
That does not in any way, shape or form shy away from killing children.
Yes. Which, again, is something you don't even get in horror films. I mean,
nope.
Like The Exorcist, you know, they get possessed and turned into the devil. Other sort of horror films that's got kids, you know, little kids that pop up in Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. It's not them that get killed. It's the literally too dumb to live teenagers that they knock about with. In this film, we are seeing kids being killed in numerous horrible graphic ways. And again, these kids probably are too dumb to live, which it's selective learning. It's the bottom of the gene pool being scraped out here.
I mean,
It's natural selection.
I was about to say, is this Darwinism in action?
But in the form of an extremely neglectant farmer. So until next time, I am the Big Daddy D. And we're signing out for another episode of We Need to Talk About ... Don't have nightmares.
Bye now.